Welcome back to Session 0, where I want to talk about my favorite things from the Dungeon Alphabet by Goodman Games. Now, I want to start by saying that I'm looking at this from a particular lens right now. Number one, I'm looking at it for solo play. Number two, I'm looking at the lens of World of Dungeons. Now, World of Dungeons is about dungeons, right? It tells you right in the experience section that you get most of your experience from looting dungeons. So this is a really fun book to have when you are not necessarily designing dungeons, although it's great for that as well, but also when you're just generating one on the fly. Rolling a table here and there can really add some spice and some fun to the dungeon. So I'm just going to talk about some of my favorite things in this book and let you decide if it's something you'd be interested in too. I've got the third edition here, or the third printing here, and I know there's a fourth printing because I think I downloaded it. I don't know if there are any past that, but right now I'm just looking at the third printing. So it's about dungeons. All of these tables would be good when we're talking about dungeons. However, there are a few that I kind of get really excited about, and maybe too excited about, to be honest. Now, the first one is because I am using Axebanes to generate my dungeons, and on this treasure table, one of the treasures you can find is a book. So that's actually going to be the first thing I look at here is books. And we actually get two tables for books. We get a table of special properties, roll a 3d6, and it's also going to be dependent on the dungeon level. You only have a 5% chance per level. So, and I don't have a D100 here, so I'll just roll my D10 twice. But let's say we're on the third level. That means we have a 15% chance of the book we find having a special property. So this will be my hundreds first, or my tens first. 45. Well, 45 is over 15, so the book I found did not have a special property. If it had, I would roll 3d6. That's 8. Book contains clues to what awaits the adventurers on a lower dungeon level. That's fun too. Now, aside from that, we might just get a really crazy name, or not even crazy, but a fun name for a book we find. Again, let's roll here on a D100. 43. Casting Nets at Dreams by Pinte Olazar. Now, number one, that's an interesting name for a book that you might find in this dungeon. And number two, that's a pretty cool name, Pinte Olazar. I'm actually probably going to use that for the next character I create, Pinte Olazar. So that's the first table that are the first two tables that I like rolling on. I think it's a really fun way to add some life into your dungeon. Something else you can do, okay, let's say I don't name a character Pinte Olazar. Is Pinte Olazar someone famous enough that your character would know about them? So you don't use an oracle here. I think you roll with int. Let's say I have an int of +1. Now, what is the risk? In Dungeon World, or in World of Dungeons rather, I want to define the risk first. What is the risk of trying to remember something while you're in this dungeon? Maybe we can say the risk is while you're sitting there pondering, maybe leafing through the book, a monster that might be near could ambush you. That's the risk. So we're going to roll +1. That's 8, 9. That's a partial success. My character does know Pinte Olazar. He was famous in dream magic, we can say. Or famous for dream magic. So yes, he remembers that name, and he thinks, oh, this could be a really interesting book to read. But some risk still comes to bear, and while he's having this revelation, there's some rustling behind him. He turns around, and standing there are two kobolds, whatever. So that's really fun. That's a fun way to use this name and an author's name to generate some more, world for your world. Do some world building for whatever you're playing in the moment. So that's number one. Let's go on to number two, and something that we see a lot in Axebane's deck of mini dungeons, and other dungeons, to be clear, are hallways. So let's go to some tables on hallways, or a table on hallways. 20 random dungeon hallways. Now, this is not something I roll every time I come up to a hallway, because I think eventually you're just going to end up re-rolling, the same numbers, and all your hallways end up looking pretty the same. But it is fun to maybe use this as theming for your dungeon. So that's a 6. Broken weapons and blood stains litter the floor, indicating a recent battle. No bodies, but blood trails lead off in at least 2 directions. So that is a fun, interesting hallway that tells you, because it's fresh, there are people here. Maybe goblins fighting people fighting goblins, kobolds fighting people who are going to try to get in and get at the dragon, whatever the case may be, whatever kind of story you're telling. But use that as a theme for the entire dungeon. Every room you go into, you see these signs of battle. Let's roll one more. A 9. The ceiling of this corridor is cracked and drips with moisture that forms slimy puddles on the floor. Occasional cracks and groans issue from the weakened stone above. That's actually a pretty cool theme for a dungeon. You have to watch your step, because you might slip and slide on one of these slimy one of these slimy puddles. There's some built-in tension there. Cracks and groans issue from the weakened stone above. Are you going to get to a point where you get stuck by a cave-in, either caved in on completely, or your way out is blocked by a cave-in? So that's another fun way, simple table, to add some flavor and theme to your dungeon. Next, one of the tools I like to use is the deck of treasures from HeroQuest, and sometimes you just get jewels or a gem. And, this card says it's worth 35 gold. This one says these jewels are worth 50 gold. But there's another fun table in here that you can use to spice that up. Let's say I draw that card, gem, or the jewels card. Gem. Let's go to page 34. Not 34, 24. Unusual properties of jewels. This is a D12 table. 10. Jewel attracts creatures of a certain type, insects, ghosts, cats, snakes, etc., that could prove distracting or dangerous to its owner. So, this might be something you want to pre-roll before you or another party gets into the dungeon. And wherever this jewel is, let's say it's on a dead body, let's say it is on or in a chest, it draws these things to it. So, if it draws ghosts are going to be in that dungeon and probably close to wherever that jewel is hidden. 1. The gem is of unusual hue or clarity for its type and is worth 5 times its value. So this says 35. Okay, now this is worth like 205. So just some fun, unusual things that you can add. Jewel reveals hidden properties of objects when they are viewed through the stone. Suggested detected properties include objects' general health. Ooh, that's cool. You can look through the gem and see how many hit points a goblin has left over, or the orc that's attacking you. true form, magical auras, presence of poison, veracity of statements, etc. Look through that gem to see if they're lying to you. That would be a really cool jewel. And again, that might be something you go ahead and pepper the dungeon with, even if you're playing solo. Playing solo, I might stack the treasure deck and say, okay, there is this gem in here that does X, Y, Z. So I've stacked the deck, and then I pull it. Hey, there's the jewel that I designed. Another fun thing to do. Next, something else, especially on these cards, we're getting all kinds of traps. See, this table has a poison needle trap, and a lot of these cards show traps right on them. Well, let's go look at a table for traps. Poison needle, scything blade. What is this? This is a D30. I don't have my D30s with me. I do own D30s. If you'll remember from my video where I roll a D12 and a D30 to determine month and day. But I don't have a D30 with me. I'm just going to roll a D20. 7. Rock, stone slab, loose bricks fall from above. And now, how do you trigger that falling trap? Is it a pressure plate? Is it a tripwire? Whatever. Use, kind of general RPG knowledge to flesh it out a bit. 3, fusillade of darts. Okay, another classic puzzle. Make sure you're giving hints about these, right? It's not fun to just have a trap go off at someone. So maybe when you're doing treasure in World of Dungeons, that can be the risk. Just so you know, you see some holes in the wall. That could be a place where, darts come from. They'll shoot out of those holes at you. Do you want to continue, looking through this room? Well, yes. I am going to investigate the room, add my +1 whiz. That's a 5. Not only did I not find anything, the fusillade of darts goes off, and I take 6 damage, but I can soak some of that with my armor. So my armor soaks some of it, and I take 4 damage. So really fun way, again, to work with traps in World of Dungeons. 4, spears spring from wall or floor. Again, it looks like there could be traps in this room. Do you want to try to deal with that before you search the room? No, I'm just going to search the room real quick. +1, that's an 11. I find some good stuff, and I was looking so intently that I could see the trigger for those spears. I could see the tripwire. I noticed the pressure plates. Even though I wasn't searching for them, my search for goodies in this room was so strong that I found that stuff as well. So that's traps. Just some really fun traps that you just roll on a table for. I do like the tables that come with Axebane's Deck of Many Dungeons, but this is a great way to supplement them. So that is number 5, traps. One more table in here I really like. That's 23 rare and unusual treasure chests. Now this is a 2d12 table. So that's 12, 14. Restricts withdrawals. The chest is enchanted so that only one single item can be removed and replaced each day. Attempts to withdraw more than one item causes a force field to appear across the mouth of the chest, preventing access to its contents until the following day. That's really interesting. That is a cool property for a chest. Number 15, disintegrates its contents. Opens under certain conditions. A music box. Just really fun things that are not just a chest sitting there. So that's a 7, that's a 19. Battery locked. Several odd tubes, crystals, and wires wind their way across the surface of the chest. The box will not open unless an electrical charge is first applied to the chest, typically through a magic spell or wand. That's really cool. You might not even be able to open this because you don't have any magic ability. So as I said earlier, there are a lot of tables here. Altars, adventurers, books, battles, caves, doors, dragons, echoes, fungi, gold, hallways, inscriptions. The list goes on. There's a lot of fun stuff here. Anything in here can be used when you are either building a dungeon or generating a dungeon on the fly for World of Dungeons. These that I talked about are just some that I really, really like. I really love the books. And I one day, the first day I even printed this, I just kept rolling books on here to see what titles and names were. And I didn't read the list. I rolled them. So 50, that's a 50. Fat Crows and Widows, A Treatise on War by Philemon Aronson. Okay, Fat Crows and Widows, A Treatise on War. Why is that Fat Crows and Widows? I can figure that out, but it's just, ask questions. Oh, here's one I just saw. Dwarves' Beard Styles Throughout the Ages by Gudrun Brubeck. That's fun stuff, right? Roll on these tables, and they're just really cool things to include in any game. Now, I think, based on the watermark down here, that I got this from DriveThruRPG. If I did, I will link, and I should have with that watermark on there, I will link this down in the description and the comments so you can pick up a copy if you're interested. Now, that will be an affiliate link, and I'll get 40 cents if you buy it through that link. So that's not a lot of money, but buying through that link does help me a little bit. All right, that is the Dungeon Alphabet and how you can use it in World of Dungeons. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.